Eman Hassan never wanted to let go of her dignity. When her story first became known, people were surprised from the very beginning at how unusual her choices were compared to her family and background. But what's most important is that whenever you see her picture, you feel as if she could be someone close to you, your sister, your relative. She looked like any ordinary, decent person. The truth is, she wasn't considered one of the best people in the sense of being exceptional. That's not my opinion, but the opinion of everyone who knew her. Still, her story is one worth telling in full. In 1990, in Sharqiya, specifically in Belbase, Eman was born into a kind, respectable family. Her parents did everything they could to raise her and her siblings well, providing for them and ensuring they received a good education. Her family was very close-knit, protective of one another, and Eman herself was hardworking and excellent in school. From a young age, she dreamed of becoming a doctor, or at least holding a respected position in academia. She was raised with strong values, traditions, and decency. Everyone who knew her family described them as respectable and modest. Eman herself had refused the idea of marriage early on, focusing instead on her education. She wanted to complete her master's and PhD before even thinking about marriage. Like any ambitious person, she became so focused on studying and working hard that she sometimes forgot about everything else. Her family, like many families, wanted her to eventually marry and build a home. But they also respected her ambitions, supporting her choice to continue her studies. By the age of 25, one of her friends suggested a suitor for her, someone named Abdel Rahim, originally from Sohag, but who had been living in Germany for over 12 years. He had graduated and built a life there. Her friend praised him as hardworking and ambitious and encouraged Eman to meet him. At first, Eman was reluctant, but after some persuasion from her family and friend, she agreed to meet him. Abdel Rahim visited Eman's family, introducing himself as someone who had lived in Germany most of his life, held German citizenship, and worked as a hotel manager. Though it was a small hotel, he presented himself as someone stable and accomplished. He said he had a month of vacation, during which he wanted to marry and then take his wife back to Germany. His words seemed convincing. He painted a picture of a good life abroad, one where she could even continue her education. He promised her she could complete her PhD at a German university, which would be even more prestigious. Her family, being kind and trusting, believed him. He seemed polite, respectful, and ready for marriage. They visited his relatives in Sohag, but it was clear that Abdel Rahim was the main provider for his family. He paid for most of their needs, which wasn't inherently bad, but it showed how dependent they were on him. He convinced Eman's family that he was serious about her and that marrying her was his choice. Eventually, they agreed. After only a short time, Eman married him, and soon after, he took her to Germany. When she arrived, she was shocked. The house he had promised turned out to be nothing more than a single room and a living space, more suitable for a migrant worker than a hotel manager. It became clear to her that he was extremely stingy. Soon she discovered that he wasn't a hotel manager at all but worked as a chef in a clinic. That was his second lie. In early 2016, she became pregnant. Out of respect for her parents, who were happy to think their daughter was living a good life abroad, she kept silent about her disappointments. She didn't want to worry them. But the reality was harsh. Abdel Rahim was abusive, controlling, and dishonest. He forbade her from leaving the house, isolated her from society, and prevented her from pursuing further education. After their first child, she hoped he would change. Instead, he pressured her into having more children. His real motives became clear later. In Germany, families received financial support for each child, plus tax benefits for married couples. He was essentially using her and their children for money. Eman endured his stinginess, abuse, and lies in silence. She feared going to the authorities because Abdel Rahim convinced her that if she ever reported him, the law would take away her children. Years went by, and she bore more children, all while suffering in silence. Eventually, she learned the truth. That he was receiving child benefits from the government, €285 per child per month, which he pocketed entirely. When she confronted him, he became violent. At last, she reached out to women's organizations that support victims of domestic abuse. They helped her leave him temporarily and provided legal assistance. But Abdel Rahim manipulated her repeatedly, convincing her to return for the children's sake. In 2022, after 6 years of marriage, Eman finally asked for a divorce. But again, he pressured her, saying divorce would harm the children and her future. Out of fear of losing her children, she returned. In 2023, she became pregnant again. Abdelrahim even tried to ruin her reputation by accusing her of infidelity, but DNA tests proved the child was his. She gave birth to their third child in late 2024. Then, in November 2024, something tragic happened. Eman called her sister, sounding extremely nervous and frightened. After that call, she disappeared. For 4 days, no one heard from her. Abdelrahim claimed that she had abandoned the house and the children, which her family knew was impossible. Eman would never do that. Weeks later, her family grew desperate and reached out to the Egyptian community in Germany, urging them to report her disappearance to the police. It was then discovered that Abdelrahim had never filed a missing persons report, even though he claimed he had. When pressured, he finally filed one, but only after more than 2 weeks had passed. Meanwhile, he began posting online that his wife had left him and their children, trying to tarnish her reputation. Her family directly accused him of being responsible for her disappearance. But with no evidence and no trace of Eman, the police couldn't hold him. He was released, and life continued as if nothing had happened. Eman Hassan, an ambitious, kind woman who only wanted to study, work, and live with dignity, vanished, leaving behind her 3 children. And to this day, her story remains unresolved.